Thank you for joining today's episode of Blue Ridge Literacy Highlights. Today, our special guest is Doloris Vest, the Blue Ridge Literacy Board Member and owner of Roanoke's local bookshop, Book No Further. Welcome, Doloris.
Welcome, Sarah. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So first, I'd like to ask you, how did you get involved with Blue Ridge Literacy?
My interest in Blue Ridge Literacy actually started way back with Literacy Volunteers of the Roanoke Valley, I believe was the name. Back in, oh my gosh, the early mid 90s, I trained to be a tutor. And then, of course, when I opened my bookstore in 2017, it became really obvious to me that I wanted to be involved. Literacy is just such an obvious connection with a bookstore. So that's sort of my history with the organization.
Great, thank you. And what is it like to own a local bookshop in Roanoke this year?
Owning a bookstore at any time is probably very interesting to most people. It's not always what they think. I tell people it is about on a foot long ruler, you would have 2 inches of books and 10 inches of business. And so, no, we don't sit and read all day. We do get people to say that, wouldn't that be great if I could sit and read all day? And I was like, well, I'll let you know if it ever happens. We did do a lot of background research to make sure this was a good fit for Roanoke, and found that it was, and this was a need and a hole there for us. We did a lot of research on what Roanoke was interested in book-wise, surveys that we had great response to. And as a result, we kind of built a store that we think reflects the community. We love to get recommendations from people in the community about what they read, what they're interested in. Prior to the pandemic, we did a lot of in-store events with authors and workshops, and most of that has either stopped, unfortunately, or gone online. We are very blessed with a lot of local authors who share their time and their talent with us. Owning a bookstore during the pandemic, of course, was a shock, as it was to all retail businesses. We were very lucky that we had a strong online presence. We already had a website up where we could sell new books, not our used inventory, but our new books. We closed for 11 weeks, shipping mostly out of my basement, which I did find I like running a bookstore better than running a warehouse. Much more fun in the store. We reopened in June with all the precautions that you can imagine: the masks, the cleaning, the small groups in the store, social distancing, and private browsing. We let people come in before or after hours if they want some quiet time, and whether away from the kids or away from COVID, whichever one that they want to do. So it's been an interesting time. We've been very blessed with the support we've gotten. Early on, people jumped right on the internet and bought books from us. They've continued to support us on the internet. Our internet sales are up. This is some crazy number of 700% this year. And that is because a lot of people who don't want to come into the store having things shipped, even just across Roanoke, it makes it more convenient for them. And as is the opportunity with Zoom to bring in people from all over the world. Our last workshop, we had people across 8 time zones, from San Francisco to London. So we've tried to make the best of it. And we feel pretty confident about the future. Things have picked up back in the store, not quite where they were. And we're real excited about, headed into the winter months to regroup and see what we can do in the spring.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you have found some great ways to mitigate the challenges, and in the meantime, getting your name out there more and attracting customers from outside of the area. That's one. Thank you, Doloris. And finally, can you talk a little bit about what literacy means to you?
A number of years ago, I made a trip to Toronto. And of course, there's a lot of French and English both spoken there. And the signage is in French and English. And it was very interesting to me when I would see a sign that didn't have an English translation. And although I had high school French, I could pick out, oh, it must be something about a store, but a lot of it, I didn't know what it said. And it really struck me about, what if that was all day, every day, and it was really important? If I don't know what this sign across the street in Toronto has to say about that store, it's okay. But what if I don't know about this danger, don't go there sign? Just imagining that was just almost beyond my comprehension. The role of literacy volunteers and teaching people basic reading skill is where my great interest lies. We try to support that through, we make try to find adult books with lower reading levels for people, because I know people learning to read, they are starting out, but they don't necessarily want to read Cat in the Hat. So we found some titles that we really like. Old Man in the Sea is a great one. It's a classic, but the language is very clean and direct. So that's one what we recommend to people. And there's so much to learn in that story. It's a great adventure story, but it's a lot about the people and the characters. So that's the kind of thing we do. I guess 18 months ago now, maybe a little longer, I attended a BRL event, and someone was talking there about if you were interested in becoming a board member. And I thought, well, that's another way to get involved. So I talked with Ahu a little bit more about it and found out what was involved. I hope to stay involved for a long time.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today and joining the BRL highlights in honor of BRL's 35th anniversary.